What up, world? Established Rich coming right back at you. Let me just get this out the way. This is not about whether Ludacris is talented. It's not about whether or not Ludacris is a legend. We all know the answer to that. He is. Hits for days. The man's resume is hip-hop certified. We're not debating that. What we're talking about is something far bigger. Where you perform, what you perform, and who's in the crowd when you do it.
Now let me break it down for the people in the back.
Picture this, a county fair. Families walking around, kids with cotton candy, grandparents on the Ferris wheel, 6-year-olds begging their parents for funnel cakes. Now, drop Ludacris into that scene. And what's the first thing out of his mouth? Where my alcohol, weed smoking fans at? Huh? No. Not here. Not today. Not at a county fair. Because here's the thing. Context matters. Venue matters. Audience matters. And this right here, this was not it. Let me tell you something. If I took my own 6-year-old to a county fair and we standing there having a good time and suddenly I'm hearing, move, bitch, get out the way, blasting through the speakers, or pimping all over the world, or the crowd screaming, fucked up because Ludacris told them to, we getting out of there immediately. Now I know, I can already hear the comments. Oh, here we go, another person that don't understand hip hop. Let me stop you right there. I get it 1,000%. This ain't about hating on the culture. This ain't about acting like the kids don't know the songs, because I know they do. They got TikTok, they got YouTube streaming. Trust me, I know they know. But this is about the grown folks in the room. It's about us saying there's a time and a place for that kind of music. And let me ask you this. Would Ludacris go on stage at Disney World and say those same lyrics? Would he stand in front of a Nickelodeon crowd and yell, where my weed smoking alcoholic fans at? No, he would not. We all know that. So why is it okay at a county fair? It's not. It's really that simple. And this is how we get into trouble. This is how you end up with a sexy red performing at a high school basketball game. It's not about whether or not she's allowed to perform. It's not about if the kids already know her lyrics. It's about the fact that the venue does not match the material. There are certain spaces that are supposed to be safe for families and kids. That's all I'm saying. Here's my question. If Ludacris had his own kids there that day, standing in the front row, would he have run that same set list? Would he have told the crowd to scream effed up over and over and over? I highly doubt it. Because if it's not good enough for your own kids, then it damn sure ain't good enough for mine. This ain't cancel culture. This ain't no attack on hip hop. This is common sense. Keep the right music in the right places. Respect the audience that's in front of you. And stop acting like because I'm saying this ain't the place that I'm turning my back on hip hop. If anything, I'm protecting it. So yeah, in this rare case, I agree with the lady who complained, because she was not wrong. She was absolutely right. And if saying that makes me sound old school, then I guess I'm old school. But there are certain lines I don't think you're supposed to cross. And Ludacris performing explicit material at a county fair full of kids and families, that's one of them. What up, world? Established Rich coming right back at you. Let me tell you something right now. What we're looking at, what we're hearing, what we are reading is nothing short of tragic. Everything, and I mean everything, that people suspected J. Edgar Hoover's FBI and even the CIA were doing to Dr. Martin Luther King. It was true. Every tap on the phone, every lie whispered in the press, every attempt to fracture his alliances, every single thing we feared was confirmed. I want you to imagine this. You're a man, not just any man, but a man who has devoted his life to freedom, to justice, to uplifting the poorest and most forgotten amongst us. You're trying to end segregation, you're speaking out against poverty, and you're calling for peace in a time of war. And because of that, your phone is tapped, your home is watched, your friends are investigated, your reputation is attacked at the highest levels of power. Not by some shadowy former enemy, not by a rival movement, but by your own government.
Nearly 250,000 pages of records related to the surveillance of Martin Luther King Jr. are now public after a controversial move from the Trump administration.
The digital document dump has been under a court-imposed seal since 1977, when the FBI first gathered the records and turned them over to the National Archives and Records Administration.
Among the documents are leads the FBI received after King's assassination. There are also details of the CIA's fixation on King's pivot to international anti-war and anti-poverty movements in the years before he was killed.
And these documents have been released despite opposition from King's 2 living children. They say their father's killing has been a captivating public curiosity for decades. But the pair emphasized the personal nature of the matter and urged that the files, quote, be viewed within their full historical context.
So joining us now to talk about the release is Chief Legal Analyst Conley Frodes, who also mentioned this release is going to take years to get done. But let's start here. Why do you believe the judge didn't respect the family's request because it's just a request. There's no legal mandate saying they have to abide by it, right?
100%. Originally, you're requesting these documents are sealed. Sealed for 2027 was the original time frame. The judge could have denied the government's request, could have respected the family's wishes. I mean, and typically a judge would lean on the family to being the closest person to the individual that was connected to these documents. And so it was an unfortunate step, I think, to something that I wasn't anticipating or expecting. Yes, I anticipated the request by the Trump administration because President Trump signed the executive order. So that's something I knew was down the road coming. But I knew they still had to go in front of a judge. I know they still had to make a request. And you go back, why did we seal these originally? We didn't want outrage. We didn't want, the pushback and blowback. Yeah, you want transparency, but do you want this to be released? And then the question, I guess, is why? I mean, you're talking about 6,000 documents, 230,000 pages. This is a lot of information that is being released, and it will take a long time to get out, to be fully vetted, to be fully reviewed, to ensure to see what was in there. But as the family is requesting, at least the two main family, his two children, not the niece, the Department of Justice cited, saying that she was thankful that they released it, but Bernice and his son, MLK III, they both rejected this request and did not want this to occur. So I was confused on why the judge didn't honor that. Typically with something like this, the judge would say, you know what, the family doesn't want it. I want to take that while I'm weighing the balance in an attempt to try to honor the family's wishes.
What are we expected to learn from this? I mean, are we thinking like a smoking gun? Is there a link to some government wrongdoing? What are we expecting?
I mean, the link to the government wrongdoing is clearly on his face. I mean, I think that in Trump's attempt to be transparent and his attempt to, to drain the swamp and all the statements that he made when he was running, this would go hand in hand with the transparency aspect of it. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all, but I know that there are folks that are saying, look, Trump is attempting to use this to take attention away from the other files that folks want to see, the Epstein files, and saying, well, here goes these files that you can look at. So that's probably a part of the process that's occurring, that, look, we want to get these out there and ensure that folks have an opportunity to see this while not asking and communicating about these other files.
And again, you mentioned this was something he ran on. He talked about the Epstein files. He talked about this, the Kennedy assassination, all of those things. Do you see any legal challenges coming out of what we learned from the documents? Because, again, it's going to take some time. What might be in them? Are there any legal issues that could come up?
I mean, there are a number of legal issues, and none of them are good for the government. And, well, that's why I would say part of me is happy that the Trump administration has decided to at least be transparent. But I just wish it was a holistic transparency as opposed to this, cookie cutter approach. And I'll say this was the government looking, spying on, surveilling, following, intimidating an American citizen for no other fact, but he was attempting to help bring people together in a time when they were being, persecuted, hung during that time in the South. I mean, this is problematic on multiple levels. You're talking about following him overseas. And so if you know a little bit about history and what was happening with the Black Panthers after him, if you know about history, what was happening with Malcolm X during this exact same time, this is what the government was doing while at the same time saying, no, we're not doing these things. And so I think if it would have occurred and released during the time when it happened, then it would have been actually a cluster, an actual firebomb would have been thrown on top of an already tense moment. And so now, yeah, you can release it because it's 40 to 50 years after it occurred. But during the time when it was happening, this would have been used as gasoline to propel a movement that was looking for additional fire in his death.
Khalif, when we talk about transparency sometimes creates more trust in the government. But when you look at what the CIA was doing, and you kind of talked about it with Martin Luther King Jr., do you think that's going to create more questions as to what the government actually does in terms of spying on its own people?
100%. I mean, first of all, we have a Fourth Amendment right against legal search and seizure. And then so, yeah, you have an expectation of privacy in public place, in private places, but then they were actually violating this man's constitutional rights while trying to attempt to say that it was under the gaze of some type of national security. So we can look at those things as they occur in the past, but we can also use this as a lesson for right now. While people are pointing to national security concerns while attempting to violate constitutional rights for folks here today.
Now let me break it down for the people in the back.
J. Edgar Hoover, the head of the FBI, didn't just disagree with Dr. King, he despised him. He called him the most dangerous man in America. And he used the entire weight of the federal government, the full might of its surveillance powers, to try and break him. They tried to paint him as a communist. They tried to destroy his marriage. They sent letters trying to push him to take his own life. This wasn't speculation. This wasn't paranoia. This was real. And these newly released documents prove it in black and white. And the CIA, they were not focused on whether Dr. King had broken any laws. No, their interest was in his growing global influence, his anti-war stance, his anti-poverty campaigns, the way his voice carried beyond the borders of America, threatening to unite oppressed people worldwide. That scared them. A black man from Atlanta uniting voices across continents? To them, that was dangerous. Now I want you to feel this for a moment. I've seen footage of Dr. King walking down the street and a shotgun goes off somewhere in the distance and you can literally see his body flinch, his shoulder shake, but he keeps walking. Can you imagine living like that? Knowing at any moment someone could take your life? Knowing your own government is actively undermining you and still having the courage to show up? I am certain that in the final months of his life, Dr. King had to be a nervous wreck. And not because he was weak, not because he doubted his cause, but because he knew the truth. He knew the walls were closing in, but he stood tall. He ain't run, he ain't hide, he ain't stopped speaking truth to power. And here's the part that gets me. 40 years later, 50 years later, we sit here saying, oh yeah, I already knew that. Like it's nothing. Like the weight of this revelation doesn't shake the very core of what America is supposed to stand for. And I'm telling you right now, the same thing is happening today. We will be long gone before the files come out. But when they do, people will just shrug and say, oh yeah, we knew that. That should terrify you. This ain't just history. This is a warning. If the government could do this to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the most peaceful, disciplined, morally grounded leader this country has ever produced, what do you think they can do to anybody else? Dr. King faced the enemy with unlimited resources, with no accountability, and with no shame. And still he kept going. That's the kind of courage that doesn't just inspire a generation. It inspires the world. And the fact that these documents confirm every suspicion, every whisper, every nightmare shouldn't make us numb. It should make us furious. It should make us vigilant. And it should make us honor his name more than ever. Salute to Dr. King. What up, world? Established Rich coming right back at you. Let me just say this right now. If what we're hearing is true, if what's being reported is accurate, that your mother, the woman who gave you life, is facing eviction for the third time, and you took that moment to get on the internet and compare yourself to Eminem in a freestyle, I mean, I'm absolutely speechless.
Now let me break it down for the people in the back.
Finesse two-times mother, Pluria Alexander, goes online and starts a GoFundMe, talking about being threatened with eviction. She says her son was taking care of her before. She says he was covering her housing until they had a falling out. Now look, I'm not here trying to sit up here and judge every detail of a mother and son relationship. I was not there. I don't know what happened during his childhood. I don't know what's been said behind closed doors. But what I do know is this. At some point, y'all were good enough for you to pay her bills. That tells me, as an adult, you knew she was worth taking care of. And then, instead of taking the high road, instead of just saying nothing, instead of just letting her live her life, you get on a freestyle and say you feel like Eminem.
Come on, dawg.
Disrespectful ass person, man. Real talk. I don't give a about you waking up saying nothing. You won't answer the phone line. I'll tell you on it. I'll tell you. I'll tell you to your face. You don't scare me. You don't scare me. I push you out this ass. Then gonna upload a picture. You disrespectful, boy. You spent $4 million on niggas and bitches. Flying motherfuckers back and forth. That's what you spent your money on. Jewelry. You ain't spend it on family. You didn't spend it on family. And when a mother did get some, get what? They gotta do something for it. It ain't genuine. Keep your money. A man and his money will depart. Believe that. An ignorant man with money will depart. I push you out there. You don't disrespect me. And you need your. That's what you need. Real mother talk. And I swear to God, you ain't never got to do a motherfucking thing for me again. I don't want your dirty money. Because you ain't going to have it long. God going to make sure that. You do everybody around you wrong, man. Everybody. Ain't nobody willing to stand around and deal with your bullshit but stupid ass should. That's it. I don't care nothing about your money. But the way my rent was coming was $1,500 here, $1,500 there, $500 there. And I just had to hold on to it until it got to $35, y'all. And still have to deal with my landlord coming over. My landlord been over here 4 times. I don't stop answering the door now because at this point, like I told her, I don't have nowhere else to go. I don't have nowhere else to go. But I'm going to let him know this. When I walk out this door and I take my last box up out of here, that man ain't never got to worry about me no more. He don't never have to worry about me no more, y'all. That man don't care nothing about me. He don't love me. And I keep ignoring it. Y'all think everything great because y'all see what y'all see on this internet. Outside this motherfucking internet, I'm bleeding over here. Cut by somebody that I didn't even do nothing to.
After hearing these rumors and accusations against him, Finesse 2 Times said it was time to respond in his own special way. Here's what he did.
Say if you fall down, you get up, baby. They tried to lock me away, but it ain't enough, baby. It's gonna take you an army. It's gonna take you an army. It's gonna take you an army. Say if you fall, went to jail, came home, went to jail again, came back again, went straight in, copped the beans, went fed. Then I lost a lot of friends, 5 years, relatives, family problem. Now I feel like Eminem. Diss songs, bitch gone, mental problem. Now I'm popping Seroquel. Bipolar, schizophrenic, paranoid, kicking in, trust issues. Finesse gang, Aryan Nation, KKK, what that mean? Fuck niggas, from juvenile to the county, to the pen, all the way to Mason. PSI, ain't rat, check the paper, no cooperation. United States versus Ricky Hampton. No, I ain't penny. In Little Rock, I shoot the spot. The U.S. Marshals caught me with the cannon. But I'm back though, relaxed though, the Prince of Memphis. I'm just being cocky. Cause I live what they rap about. I really got the wounds on my body. Stand down, you get up, baby. They tried to lock me away, but it ain't enough, baby. It's gonna take you an army. It's gonna take you an army. It's gonna take you an army. Say if you fall, where were you on visitation day? I was shedding tears. Where were you when the Fed lawyer told me I was facing 10 years, huh? Machiavelli prosecutor shined on me, labeled me an outlaw. Now I fuck a bitch and play the bitch and kick her out like she was on the alcohol. From Section 8 of real estate, manipulate but never told lies. Would demonstrate on any day, get in my way, I put that on the 5. Hey, the same way you fall down is the same way you rise. Look, he faking here, bitch, so it's like the blind leading the blind. Fuck the DA, United States, the prosecutor, lawyer, and the judge. Cause they don't respect them from the judge, ran up and checked and got it out the mud.
Let me tell you something. When Eminem was doing that, when he was on cleaning out my closet, when he was talking about wishing his mom dead, we didn't think that was cool. We didn't clap for that. We didn't say, yeah, his mom. We thought it was crazy. And the truth be told, a lot of black folks looked at that like, hey, that's still your mom, no matter what she did. So for you, a grown black man, to grab the mic or beat on the table and compare your situation to that situation, I'm telling you right now, you're not gonna get no points in the culture for doing that. None. Nobody gonna look at that and say, oh, he a real one for doing that. Nope. They gonna look at it and say, that's his mama, man. Why you doing that? And here's where it gets even worse for me. Finesse 2 Times has been in and out of the system. He's stood in front of judges. He's rapping about hating law enforcement. He's dissing the courts. He's painting himself as a victim to the system. But then you see him in court, hand between his legs, heads down, begging for mercy. Then he get out, he get blessed with another chance. And what does he do with it? The same thing. Same mindset, same behavior, same music, pushing the same destructive lifestyle. To me, he ain't learned a thing. Not from jail, not from life, not from whatever lessons the universe has been trying to teach him. He's perpetuating a lifestyle that will only end in 2 ways, dead or in jail. And now he's dragging his own mama into that narrative. And it don't make no sense. Listen, I don't even listen to Finesse 2 Times music, so I ain't got no personal bias here. He's just a name I see pop up in the headlines. but this one caught my attention because it's deeper than rap. It's about respect. It's about understanding the weight of our words. It's about realizing that in our culture, you will never win by publicly clowning your mama, no matter what happened between y'all. You came from her body. She brought you into this world. Now, you can choose not to deal with her. You can choose not to pay her bills, but to publicly disrespect her and compare yourself to Eminem?
Come on, dog.
I just pray that this mother and son can repair their relationship before it's too late. What up, world? Established Rich coming right back at you. Listen, this Young Thug and Gunna situation, this is bigger than just a few lines in a song. This is bigger than a tweet. This is about legacy, image, and pride. It's about how the industry and the streets react when two people who built something together end up on opposite sides of the fence.
Now let me break it down for the people in the back.
May 2022, Fulton County. The RICO indictment drops. YSL, 28 people swept up. They're saying it's not just music. They're saying it's a gang. Not just any gang, a criminal enterprise. They got wiretaps, they got text messages, they got social media posts. The prosecution is painting a full image of a criminal enterprise. Not a label, but of an organization with Young Thug as the leader, the founder, the man who took slime from a street slang to a global brand. Gunna, the star player, the most streamed artist on the roster, both locked up, both facing decades if convicted. And here's where it starts to turn. Gunna is only in jail for a few months. December 2022, he walks into court and takes an Alfred plea. He doesn't admit guilt, but he admits the prosecution has enough evidence on him to convict him. As part of that deal, he admits that YSL is a gang. He admits he knows about criminal activity. The second that clip hit the internet, the narrative writes itself. Gunna snitched. He finished. He can't come back to Atlanta. People were ready to write his career obituary. But then something happened nobody expected. Months after, other YSL members started taking deals. Young Thug's own brother took a plea deal. Same admission. Other associates, deals. Same words. YSL is a gang. We know about criminal activity. And then Young Thug himself took a plea deal. Admits the same thing. 15 years probation. So now I'm looking at this like, what exactly did Gunna do that was different? The same basic facts were said by the same people, including the man himself. But this ain't just about court transcripts. This is about perception. And perception in hip-hop is everything. Gunna walks out of jail and hits the ground running. A gift and a curse drops. Then Fuck You Mean takes over the summer. Then 101. Then the last one. Streaming numbers are crazy. He's selling out shows, packing festivals. The people are still rocking with him. And here's where it gets messy. I think Thug expected public opinion to wash Gunna away. I think he thought the industry would turn its back on Gunna. I think he expected the streets to do the same. Leave Gunna out in the cold, but that didn't happen. If anything, it's the opposite. Gunna might be hotter now than he's ever been. And that's when we see it. The tweet from Thug's account. Gunna, stop acting like we friends on the internet. I don't know you, my guy. It gets deleted quick, but everybody saw it. And Gunna, he wasn't shy about responding. On the song Prototype, he says, nigga had tweeted my name. Must have been a typo. He let it be known. He heard it, and he's not backing down. Then we get the leak from the Lil Baby record. Thug spitting, only reason I fuck with you, Gunna, it was because of Troop. Troop is a mutual friend between Young Thug and Gunna. That line tells you everything. This was not a brotherhood for life. It was a connection to somebody else. And when that somebody else is gone, the foundation gets weak. But here's the reality. This don't feel like street code anymore. This feels personal. It feels like pride. This feels like jealousy. People forget, sitting in the cell for 2 years, it don't just take your freedom, it takes your timing. Hip-hop moves fast. What's hot today can be old in 6 months. While Thug's been fighting for his life, Gunna has been evolving his sound, dropping consistently, touring, connecting with fans. And that kind of momentum is deadly in the competitive market. But Atlanta politics play a role here too. Atlanta is built on collaborations, but they hold grudges. When two major forces like this are on opposite sides, it forces people to pick sides. Artists, producers, DJs, promoters. But the sides are not split and clean. You would think Thug's status as the OG would make him the favorite. But Gunna's making better music right now. And in this business, quality music can erase a lot of so-called violations. But I don't think this ends well for either one of them if it keeps going. Every time Thug takes a shot, it puts more spotlight on Gunna. And every time Gunna responds, it makes Thug look reactive, like he's moving off emotion and not strategy. I've seen this before. Ja Rule and 50 Cent, Pusha T and Drake. Beef that takes on a life of its own. But the difference here is these two were family, label mates, partners in building a brand. When that blows up, the fallout is not just music. It's money, it's relationships, it's legacy. And if I'm Thug, I just let this go. Focus on the music. Focus on rebuilding. Because right now, Gunna is winning the music game and the people are riding with him. You can't argue with that. Not in 2025. Not when every stream counts. Not when public perception is half the battle. So the question is this about street codes? Or is this about the fact that the man you thought would fall off without you is thriving. Let me be clear, street code is not some universal law. It's different from block to block, city to city, click to click. What one group calls snitching, another group may call survival. But in hip hop, that word is deadly. It can wipe out a career overnight if people believe it. And here's the thing, the people don't believe it enough to walk away from Gunna. Why? Because the music hits too hard. Because he came back strong with records that stuck. No excuses, no long speeches. Just record after record. And the fans responded. This is where it gets uncomfortable for a lot of artists still in that street mentality. It shows that the crowd cares more about hits than history. They'll forgive. They'll overlook if the songs are good enough, and Gunna proved that. So when Thug takes these shots, whether it's a tweet or a verse, it's coming off like bitterness, like frustration that the playbook didn't work. Like he wanted the world to cancel Gunna, and the world said, nah, we good. And that's a hard pill to swallow, especially when you're locked down, especially when your own catalog is on pause. And that's the other piece here. Time away from hip hop is everything, because hip hop changes fast, flows change, production style changes. Even the slang can change in just 6 months. So if you're out of the loop for 2 years, you playing catch up the minute you touch a microphone. Meanwhile, Gunna's been evolving, developing his relationship with Turbo, tapping into new sounds, locking in with a younger audience. He's not just picking up where he's left off, he's moving ahead, and that creates a gap that's hard to close. So now, this beef is not just about loyalty or principles. It's about who's hot and who's not. It's about who's active and who's inactive. And in music, that can mean everything. So where does this end? If history tells us anything, either somebody squashes it or it gets ugly. Because when two people this close start arguing it out, it's never just about the music. They know each other too well. They know where to hit. They know what to say. And that's why this situation is dangerous. Because the longer it goes, the deeper it cuts. And at some point, you're not just rapping anymore. You burning bridges that you can't rebuild. Thug's got too much to lose. His freedom, his legacy, his future in music. Gunna's got his momentum, his fan base, his reputation, whatever's left of it. And if they keep clashing, both stand to lose more than they could gain. That's why if I'm being real, the smartest move is to let it die. Stop giving it life. Because the truth is, the fans don't care about the beef like that. They care about the songs. And right now, one of these two is making better songs than the other. But hey, that's just my opinion. What's yours? Like, comment, subscribe, establish rich. I'll be back with another one. Peace.